from Ruth in South Carolina. Ruth, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And I have a
And
note
I
here.
can hear you as well.
Yeah, and I have a note saying that you have some family members who have been trying to invite you to church.
Continuously.
Okay.
Every week.
Every week. And you have a problem with that because you're not a believer, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Go on. Sorry.
It's okay. It's become kind of as if I'm hurting their feelings when I've got to the point now where I don't respond.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to respond and say, no, thank you, in some kind way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But now I just don't respond because it's become, I almost feel like it's a game.
What has your conversations been like with them before? Have you simply told them no and they're just not listening, or?
No, and, that it makes me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some reasoning behind it, but it's not just, no, I don't want to go with you. And it's in particularly one of them that is quite a Pentecostal church, very, and that's the one that every week,
not casual,
every Saturday I get the call, and I'm expecting the, hi, how are you? How was your week? And I get the, you really need to go to church with me. Your life would be so much better. Guilt trip.
Yeah.
Which is
for sure. We can, Jamie and I can both relate to this really so much. But I'm really glad Jamie is actually here because this is a topic that comes up quite frequently on Talk Heathen, which is the other show that Jamie hosts. If you haven't watched it, you should go check it out. So I'm going to let Jamie give his answer first, since he's kind of talked about this before.
Yeah. So as far as your family member or family members that want you to come to church and they ask you every week, oh, you should really go to church. You should really go to church. You should really go to church. Yeah, and this is a hard thing. You're by far not the only one this happens to. My parents and I actually probably are a bit closer and see more eye to eye on, or well, they have a better understanding probably that I am not eager to attend their church. And I sort of accept that that's a thing that they're doing. But again, my parents are Episcopalian, and so it gets very different when, they're not every week in church are they reminded that people that don't go to the correct church are going to hell, right? Like there's a difference from denomination to denomination, and it sounds like
into an Episcopalian church is it that? But my uncle made the comment, it's like Catholic light.
Yeah, it's like Catholic light.
Yeah. It's the same. They do a lot of the same ritual as the Catholics. They don't have the same hierarchy of structure, so they don't, adhere to the Pope or any of their subsequent councils and stuff. They have their own kind of system.
Yeah, and there's the veneration of the saints is different.
No, for sure. Can I ask you if, have you ever, is this a situation where you really just don't want to talk about it, like you don't really want to engage with them at all, or is this something where you might be interested in talking to them, but you just wish they were more open-minded about it? Like, is there, do you want to have the conversation about religion with them, or are you just like, I'm done with this point, I kind of just want to, leave this be?
I'm kind of done with it at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been to their church with them before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I'm not sure how blunt you're comfortable.
The type of church that I grew up in. I grew up in a very strict Baptist church.
Southern?
And I'm not. Yes. Well, no. In California, they don't call them Southern Baptist. They call them Independent Baptists. And they're very. I think they told me that in the South it's called holiness or something, and that they, it's very women wear long skirts and hair in a bun, and women don't talk, and it's very. I can't, I don't know how to explain it. But anyways, I have not been a church goer for 17 years. And so it's not a secret to the rest of my family and my immediate family here. And I almost feel like they're sad, or I hurt their feelings when I tell them no. I don't know.
So maybe, go ahead, Jamie.
It's possible that they have those feelings, but also it's your Sunday.
Yes.
What you do with it. You know, my parents, they're not, it might be fair to say that they're disappointed in the direction that my life has taken. I've managed to talk to them and tell them some of the things that I'm doing and try and get them to see that at least I'm not lazy. But I don't go to their church with them. Can I ask you, Ruth, how you would describe, you know, what you believe, whether you'd call yourself an atheist or an agnostic or a freethinker or that?
I would say I call myself an atheist. I don't believe in any.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Me neither. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm agnostic because I don't definitely believe there aren't any or there couldn't be any, but
yeah.
But
yeah, you sound like you're about where I am, but I end up being involved in an organization and doing a show. So you're in good.
Yeah, Jamie's one of those militant atheists you hear about.
Yes. Yes, I'm a lieutenant colonel in the military of no God.
If I make comments on, I mean, I'm sure Jamie has some advice all wrapped up and ready to go, but I'm going to interject anyway because I can do that. I think if I were in your situation, which I have been before, by the way, with my own family and stuff and what I'm doing now, even I'm in a very similar boat with Jamie where it's like, well, I'm working towards something and I'm trying, at least with my show, I'm trying to make something really positive out of what I'm doing. And it's not just about, you know, being irreligious. It's about exploring things together and making it more of a, you know, communal activity. And all this to say, I think maybe when having these conversations with your family members, it might be good to frame it with the language of, hey, when you invite me to church every week, you're kind of disrespecting my beliefs and like what I, you know, and my own sense of, you know, human. Because if you knew a Jewish person or a Muslim person and you were inviting them to church every week, that could be considered offensive to most people. Because you know that these are people who are practicing their own faith and they're living their own lives. And you're living your own life. You are figuring things out through the way that you understand it. And that's something that deserves people's respect, whether you have a label of atheist or agnostic or whatever you want to call it, because, I mean, you're a person with your own thoughts and feelings too. And I think that maybe that's kind of the focus that you want to have when kind of having these conversations, you know?
Well, I guess that's why I called your show and asked this question because, you know, I've watched Truth Wanted a few times, but I watched the other ACA shows religiously. So sorry to let that one out of the bag. But but because the point is, I don't want to go to their church with them because to me, it's not the truth. I could totally find something else to do with my day that is much more factual, truth finding. You know, I just feel like it's and I guess that may be the biggest aversion that I have is that I feel like it's a way to delude themselves, or it's I understand it's about comfort. You know, it's something they've always done, but the type of church that they go to is very I guess that's called Pentecostal. They're very loud, and they probably the one time that I went with them, I have an issue with acoustics. It bothers me, like, physically. It causes me like blood pressure and heart issues, and I don't. And
so it sounds like you have more than one reason besides the fact that you're an atheist that you really just don't want to go to this thing. Yeah, Yeah,
and
I think that it's
frightening.
yeah, I can see that for sure.
Interesting.
It's hard to talk about these things. Like, it is so hard for me to tell people this is what I do every week now, and I've made this part of my life. And people can, you know, like, if you're not confident about where you are, then people will sometimes take advantage of that. And I'm not saying that you're being passive about your beliefs, but I might recommend that you take a more active approach to the defense of, like, yourself and who you are, so that people can see that there's a boundary. You know, that there is a line that people are being crossed, rather than, you know, get the invite every time and kind of just shirk it off and say, oh, no, you know, maybe not. Maybe try taking a more proactive approach and saying, and, you know, like, hey, I'm actually upset that you're doing this. And, like, let them know that, because, like, I have a boundary set up here that you are violating, and it frustrates me. And just letting them know, like, how it makes you feel and stuff, because I think people will respond to that a lot better than just playing into this narrative that, oh, you're just this bad person who you just need to get to church and then you'll be fixed right up. Because no, you are living your own life, and you're doing life, what sounds like to me, pretty well without going to church, and people just need to accept that. And
thanks for that affirmation that I'm doing life pretty well.
I mean, I don't know anything about you, except for the fact that you're an atheist. But it sounds like you've made it this far in life without going to church for the past couple of years or so.
17.
Yeah. So, you know, that's a blessing in some form. Right. Anyway, I hope that helps.
So, before we jump off, I'll add one more piece of advice.
Yes.
As well. So one of the things that has been said on various shows, and that I know that Matt Dillahunty, at least I think that Matt Dillahunty said with his parents, I'll try not to steal his story, but it's something close to what I've done with my parents, which is, if you believe that there is this God that loves all of us, and that has the plan for all of us, and that has a path for everyone, you know, if you need to pray on it, pray on it. But if God loves me and has a plan for me and has a path for me, then let me walk it. Right? Saying something like that. Or there's almost a way to address their concerns in terms of their theology that could help them deal with the fact that they're not going and knocking on your door and handing you a chick tract and telling you, you know, oh, cantaloupes are of the devil or whatever. Yeah, and I feel like, in particular, with the heavier, like the Pentecostal, the more, you know, serious churches, that couching the, well, look, you're not respecting, like, me and whatever it is, and it makes me uncomfortable to speak in spiritual terms to people that take those terms seriously, but to say, like, look, no, I'm on my own journey through life, and I think you should let me take it, is probably something that they can do.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
Good advice as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Ruth, that kind of gave you some ideas about how you want to frame this conversation next time. And again, I recommend a proactive approach, just getting it out there yourself instead of waiting for the next time it happens. But it's your life. It's up to you. I wish you luck, and
thank you.
Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, because it sounds like you're doing just fine.
I think the proactive approach is probably a lot better, because if you wait until they're thinking about it and really concerned about it, then they'll already have their. But if you talk to them on like a Tuesday, you're just like, hey, can you please not ask me this question on Saturday?
Yeah.
What Dan said is good advice.
For sure. All right, Ruth.
Well, thank you both for the advice.
Yeah, thank you for calling.
And call back in here or one of our other shows.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
I'll try not to. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
That was really, really awesome. Not typical to what we've talked about so far on Truth Wanted, but perfect for you, Jamie. I'm really glad you got to weigh in